Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Knight, and on each episode of this podcast, I'll be having inspiring conversations with passionate product people. If you're passionate about product, a product person, or some other combination of the above, why not come and check out the website, onenightinproduct.com, check out some of my other episodes with thought leaders and practitioners, sign up to the mailing list or subscribe on your podcast app, and make sure you and your friends never miss another episode again. On tonight's episode, we speak about the state of product management in Africa and the groundbreaking report of the same name. We cover some of the ways my guest is trying to support the product management community and also, importantly, women in product on the continent. We go through her motivations for creating her report, some of the findings and surprises inside, and some of her hopes for the future. We also dream of a future Silicon Valley in Africa and have a think about which valley and which country it'll be in. For all this and much more, please join us on One Night in Product. So, my guest tonight is Layo Ogunbanwo. Layo is a product leader who boldly claims to occupy the intersection of product management, marketing and growth and is passionate about using technology to solve real problems. Layo started out wanting to be a doctor, but turned instead to health tech in the US before heading back to Nigeria to revolutionize financial services for Africans. Layo recently worked with Practical Product to release a groundbreaking report on the state of product management in Africa, giving a view on how far product management has come on the continent, what's going well, and what's still left to do. Hi Layo, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. Thank you very much for asking. So first things first, you're VP of Product Strategy at Piggyvest.
Mm-hmm.
So for the record, who are Piggyvest and what problem do they solve?
Awesome. Yeah, so Piggyvest is a B2C fintech platform in Nigeria. Essentially, we do digital savings and investment. The company was founded in 2016. I joined the company in 2018, and we are West Africa's largest digital savings and investment product with over 2.6 million users. So what we found is that younger people are exempt or basically left out of financial services. What we aim to do is to bring millennials and Gen Zs into that and also give them the ability and the tools to better manage their finances.
And that, obviously, as you say, is based in Nigeria, but is that something that has either already or ambitions to be more Pan-African or Pan-West African or anything like that? Like, how's the national footprint there?
Yeah, so definitely we are constantly having conversations about, expanding to, Ghana, Kenya. There's been talks about South Africa as well too. Most of it is just trying to understand the regulatory landscape, as well as, making sure that our payment processors are also, in those different markets as well. But definitely, we have dreams of being a Pan-African platform.
Yeah, that's interesting about the regulatory stuff. With regards to African regulatory processes, I mean, is there kind of a standard across Africa, as in like some kind of cooperative thing, or are they all completely different and you have to take them one at a time?
Yeah, they're all completely different. You have to take it one at a time. What works in Nigeria may not work in Ghana or in Namibia. And then what you find is that with fintech or financial services in general, we are still building the infrastructure, right? So it's kind of hard to say, I want to expand to Ghana, but then they still are laying the groundwork there. So that's why we always say, wherever our payment processors go, we'll follow, because then they've, kind of laid the groundwork and it's easier for us to build on their stack.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you're the VP of Product Strategy there. So how does that interface with the rest of the product team? Because, in theory, all product people should be somewhat strategic, right? So do you, as a company, separate out kind of long-term strategy and delivery, or is there some other kind of breakup of responsibilities you have there?
Honestly, the title is just fancy for, I'm still a product manager, honestly. It's just fancy for product management, to be honest. And the great thing about Piggyvest is that everybody is a product person in some capacity. So it makes my work easier and more enjoyable, to be honest. So, I'm talking to my CEO or talking to, customer success rep, and what we're all thinking about is, okay, how can we build this better for our users? How can our users get value from this faster? how can we make sure that there is no friction with, using the app? At the end of the day, with our products, the three main things really that users are concerned about is depositing money, withdrawing money, and also earning their interest. So really, my job really is just making sure that those three functions are, I guess, very, very smooth, and we're able to build on them to make sure that our users are happy all the time. So yeah, that's it in summary. It's just the VP of product strategy is just fancy.
Good for the CV, huh?
Yes.
But if we go back a bit further in time, you actually got your start in product when you were living in the US, in Texas, and you helped, or you were certainly very early in a health tech startup over there. And you actually had a variety of roles in that company around sales and marketing before you settled on product. So I guess it's an interesting question for me is like, why do you think you ended up in product? Was that the natural place for you and your skills and your interests, or was it something that kind of you fell into and got good at? Because it's quite a wide-ranging set of roles you had, and it's just an interesting path.
Great question. So, with joining my previous company, Access, super early, I was in plan number 7. What that meant was just get your hands dirty, just get the work done. It wasn't about titles or departments. It was just, okay, we need to get the product into the arms of nurses who were, nurses were our target audience, and home healthcare agencies as well too. And yeah, I think as the company grew larger, I was definitely more at the marketing growth sales intersection. But then what that meant was that because I was doing a lot of marketing and growth stuff, I was also responsible for the company's Marketo and Salesforce softwares or like platforms. And I guess I definitely had to build a lot of different, hooks. So one of them being, this was a while back, I wanted to be sure that we were tracking ROI in the company. So yes, it's great to go for events and, garner like a lot of leads. It's great to send out emails and do campaigns, all that jazz. But then how are we sure that, okay, Jason got into the funnel at this date. He went through all of these campaigns. And then at the end of this date, he then became a paying subscriber with this package. So I had to figure that out. And then I worked with an engineer to build some sort of API with that from the company's back end, linking it to Marketo. So it was a one-directional thing. So just feeding information from our Marketo instance into our back end database. That was actually my first, foray into product, and I liked it. And I guess it just became a natural segue. I guess fun fact is the project that I worked on, or the product that I built proper, I actually had the idea for it like 2 years prior to us actually doing it. But my CEO then just wasn't he didn't think it was a good, what did he say to me? He said he didn't think it was a good use of our resources. And I said, okay. But then 2 years after, he was ready. So then I did it. Yeah.
You were ahead of your time.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how I kind of got started in product.
Do you feel that working in those different roles has really helped round out your skill set? I mean, you obviously touched on it a bit around some of the acquisition metrics and stuff like that, so giving you the view of that. But do you feel that it was really important to you, being a successful product manager, to have worked in these different areas?
I agree. One, being a product manager, yes, you build products, yay. But I think bigger than that is you're having to work cross-functionally, right? And because I've been in the shoes of a marketing person, I've worked very closely with salespeople and business development. I know what that process is like. I'm able to work with them better as a product manager. And then, just from a user perspective as well, you can build a great product, but if you don't know how to position it, if you don't know how to sell it, if you don't know exactly the things to say to get your target audience hooked, it just wouldn't catch on the way it should catch on. So I'm able to leverage on all of those experiences that I've had and then bringing them into being a PM. So even when I'm brainstorming with my team, I always find myself saying, okay, pause, guys, take a step back. Imagine you're a user. What do you really care about? What you care about is, I want to be able to do this. They don't care about all the fancy features. They're trying to accomplish something. Yeah, so definitely, I definitely think the different experiences that I've had have made me a better, more intuitive, and just, a better PM. And I'm able to work better with different departments, different teams. Yeah.
No, it sounds really good. And I think, there's always this cliche about PMs being kind of all-rounders and being somewhere in the middle of everything. And I think that, having those diverse experiences in all senses is obviously really important. So it sounds like that's really helped you.
Mm-hmm.
But then you came back to Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you got bored of all the Tex-Mex or whatever it was you were eating over there.
I love Tex-Mex. I love tacos.
But then you started, obviously, at your current place, but you also started Practical Product,
mm-hmm.
with whom you produced the report that we mentioned earlier and that we'll talk about in a bit. So what is Practical Product specifically? I mean, I can imagine what it might be, but specifically, what is Practical Product and what initiatives does that sponsor in Nigeria?
Yeah, so, well, before I answer that, I just want to say this really, well, I guess it's a cool story. So
that's what I like.
So, yes, I moved back to Lagos after being, after living and working in America for over a decade, really. Yeah, over a decade. But the thing is, I moved back to Lagos or to Nigeria without a plan. I just moved back. Everyone thought I was crazy. I probably was a little crazy. I had my family, so my parents and there. So that was a good, at least I didn't have to stress too much about accommodation or any of those things. But I didn't have a plan about work or whatever. I just wanted to, go back home. Part of the reason that I moved back home was also just because I was telling my former boss that I'd been at the company for over 6 years, and obviously it was great most times. And I didn't want to wake up at 35 and think, oh crap, I should have gone back home. Or damn it, I should have tried this thing then. And then he then said to me but would you regret not staying? I said, no, I actually would regret not going, that I'm willing to risk it. And I'm still young. And if it's a bad mistake, I can course correct quick. So then I was super convicted that, it's time. So then, I moved back, no plan. And then after successfully stalking a couple of people on LinkedIn, I remember sending an email to the head of Google for Startups Accelerator program. They were just about to start the very first program, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm new to town. I'd like to just learn about what you guys do, etc. And then he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So I met with him, we talked, and then he invited me to be a mentor in the program. And then during the program, I met the founders of the current company that I work for. So I mentored them during the program. I liked them. I love the product. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to join this team. But they actually weren't hiring. So together we created this role for me in the company. Yeah. So LinkedIn is great. Shout out to LinkedIn. But yeah, so back to answering your question about Practical Product. So I started Practical Product this year. I have been thinking about it all of last year, during COVID and having more time to myself. And the short answer of what Practical Product is, it's just a community of product leaders and enthusiasts across Africa who aim to demystify product management principles and adapt them to Africa's unique environment. The long answer is, what I realized was that with Nigeria, with Africa, really with more tech companies springing up, right? There's been a lot of interest in product management. Every other day, someone's asking me, oh, hey, how can I break into product? There's a lot of product communities springing up, a lot of product courses, etc. But then I realized that we have more junior PMs or entry-level PMs than senior product leaders. And then also a lot of things that people are consuming is coming from the US, the UK. And while that's great, I think that how product management is actually practiced on the continent is different, again, because of environments, the regulatory landscape. So yes, you may learn how to roadmap, you may learn how to prioritize, but then if you wake up the next day and some regulatory body has effectively shut down your business, what do you do then? Right? And those are things that happen very frequently on the continent. And then I just wanted to also fill that void because there's a lot of information and content on how to get into products. That's great. Okay, so but then how do people then scale up their careers? How do they become, go from being junior PMs to senior PMs to VPs of products?
Or VPs of product strategy.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then also there are a lot of different people on the continent that have built great products. They don't call themselves product managers, right? But they've actually built great products or they've been involved in the building of such products. I want to tap into their knowledge because they know a lot of stuff that other people can learn from. So yeah, that's who we are. That's why we started this. So why I decided to do the State of Product Management in Africa report. One, there isn't anything like that on the continent, really. There's no report or document that kind of benchmarks where PMs are, what they do, just delving into their, work life. And I thought it's very, very important that we start to do that again, because new tech companies springing up all the time, people trying to get into product. It's just great for both PMs and operators to understand and know, okay, here's kind of like an average of what PMs like to do or how they think, etc. And then just for full transparency, I just also felt that it would be a great way to launch practical products. Yeah. It's like,
yep.
How am I going to launch this thing and not be like every other product community? Like, I'm being super honest. Like, okay, how can I launch this thing? And I'm not just like another product community. And it's like, okay, well, I can do this because I always read the different reports that come out from, I think there's Product Plan, there's Product School, and then some other big product community abroad always does theirs. And I look at it, I'm like, okay, well, there's no reason why we can't have this here. Long term, I would like to do our own version of Product Con on the continent. So we can go to Lagos or Joburg or Cape Town or Nairobi somewhere and just have different African PMs just learning from each other and just growing our field together. That was a long answer.
That's a good answer and obviously a really good aim as well. But I was curious because sadly I've not made it to Africa yet. I keep meaning to try to get there, but I've never quite done it so far. But I was curious as to, for example, my closest example of like a pan-national organization would be like the EU or something like that. So like a continent that has lots of countries that in the EU at least have kind of a basically similar direction. But I'm not sure that it's 100% like that across all of Africa. But you're talking a lot about Pan-African product communities and Pan-African cooperation. Is there that strong bond between all of these different African countries that are coming up together? Or are you kind of competing against each other a little bit?
We're competing. I don't think we're competing. I think, actually, I don't think we are. I think because every country on the continent is different. So even if you have an idea to start up some company in your country, because that's your home turf, you start there. And then as you start to grow, you might start to look at other neighboring countries to then expand to. I think a lot of times people actually forget that Africa is a continent. It's not a country. So
yeah.
So like how things are done in Nigeria is very different from how things are done in like Kenya. There might be some similarities for sure.
Yeah.
But there are differences as well too. So I don't think we're competing. I definitely think that there's a lot more sentiment towards a Pan-African tech ecosystem. I think we all realize that we're stronger together anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, and I could be wrong, but I don't think, I mean, apart from like just like regular like Twitter banter, when you like Nigeria and Ghana or whatever, but I don't think I don't think so.
No, I was just curious, obviously, just to see like whether, like you say, everyone's kind of trying to come up together, which seems to be the case, which is good. I think it probably opens a lot more opportunities than you would have on your own, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But how's the report gone down so far? Like, have you had lots of positive feedback from some of the African countries that are featured within it?
To be honest, I was kind of nervous the day I was releasing it. I was like, oh my God, what if nobody likes this thing? What if I made an error? But the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Something that while doing the reports that struck me was obviously like I got more responses from Nigeria, but I think that's also just because like my network is more Nigerian. So one of the goals that I'm shooting for next year's report is to get more representation across other African countries. So I've had like a few people like in Kenya and South Africa reach out to me and say, hey, for the next one, I definitely want to help you get more PMs. I'm like, that's amazing. People seem to respond to the information really well. Obviously, I've gotten some people say, oh, I would like to see more of a deep dive into some of the sections. I definitely have that in mind. So, for example, I would like to dive deeper into compensation. But you kind of have to also be, what's it called now? You have to be very, at least for me, I have to be very aware of the audience that was going to be taking the survey. So in general, like we don't really talk about our compensation, right? So I had to keep that in mind. Like no one's going to tell me, oh yeah, I earn $100,000 a year. No one's going to tell me that. But I'm hoping now that the report has gone out, it's probably gained some trust that people will be more willing to share more information in the next report and then the next one and then the next one.
That's fair enough. And you get to see trends then as well, which is obviously really exciting as well.
Exactly. So it'll be very interesting to see in 5 years, do we have more female PMs now? Or do we have more senior PMs? Or is it now more product-led than sales-led? So then we can see, okay, this report went out in 2021, but in 2026, we're seeing this trend starting to emerge.
So what was the most surprising thing that came out of the report? The thing that surprised you the most?
What's surprising to me? That's a great question. I know I saw this report every day for like for like a month.
Yeah, no surprises at the end, but first time you saw it?
First time I saw it. Yeah, I was surprised that a lot or most of the PMs had engineering backgrounds. That surprised me.
Did that surprise you just because you didn't think that was common in the countries that you surveyed, or did you think that was not the common, because it's obviously pretty common, say, for example, in Silicon Valley, for their engineers to go into product, and in some of the other sort of big tech cities. Is that not a pattern you usually see, say, for example, in Nigeria?
No, I don't usually see engineers become PMs. And then I don't usually see people who actually study like engineering in like university or college then become PMs. Obviously, like you said, in Silicon Valley, yes, that's the norm. But personally, I don't know, or I did not know of very like many PMs who had engineering backgrounds. So yeah, that surprised me.
So where would you normally expect them to come from again, if we just focus on Nigeria, where you've got the most experience? Like, are they normally coming like you did from more of a sales and marketing background, or are they maybe coming from more of a project management background or elsewhere?
Yeah, so even sales and marketing is not really common. I would typically expect PMs to come, at least in Nigeria, to come from project management backgrounds or consulting backgrounds, either of those two.
But that obviously then has a knock-on effect to some of the potential for them to be more strategically minded, right? Now, I'm not saying that all project and consultants aren't strategically minded at all, but certainly for project managers, that's not necessarily the focus.
Exactly.
So do you feel that was represented in the report, that people maybe were thinking that they were far more focusing on delivery versus defining and crafting and executing a strategy?
It depends. Because again, and I hate to give the regulatory landscape a bad rap, but in Nigeria, yes, you can be strategic. You can have your fantastic roadmap, yada, yada, yada. But then at the end of the day, you're just trying to get that product out.
Yeah.
So, and then there's, I guess, cultural nuances as well, too, where I think PMs, this definitely showed in the report, where PMs felt like they didn't have like a lot of autonomy, where it was just more, okay, this is what we're going to do, go do it. Don't ask any questions. And obviously, like, that's not how you can't build your product career by just only executing if you can't take a step back to plan, to be strategic, like you said. But I also feel like sometimes you don't have the bandwidth or the environment to be strategic and to plan. And, so these are some of the things that I would like to delve deeper in. So how have big companies like InterSwitch, right? How have they been able to manage being strategic, but also still having to release quickly just because of the type of environment that in the countries where they operate?
But also, only 42% of respondents said they were happy with their role. Did you do any deep diving on that? Are there any common themes, or is that something that you have to follow up in the next report?
It's something that I'm going to follow up in the next report, because I didn't ask any, I guess, further questions about their unhappiness. But I suspect that, just like looking at the data and then just deducing, I suspect that autonomy is a big part of why they're not happy. Pay is big as well too. I think actually there's two things, because it's easy to love your job when you feel like you are actually adding value and like you are taking ownership and you're doing things, and then you're also being compensated fairly.
Yeah.
But I definitely will delve deeper into that in the next report.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting actually to try and find the equivalent percentage for product managers around the world as well, because I'm assuming that there's a bunch of them that are equally unhappy in other countries too, and other continents.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'd definitely be interesting to dig into that and see what we can do to help them.
Yeah.
And the gender balance is obviously off as well. I think it's like 40% female, 60% male across all of the countries in the report. I know you're a founding member of Feminist Coalition, which aims to champion equality for women in Nigerian society. So that's obviously something that you're really passionate about fixing within Nigeria. But do you feel that there are any, or are you aware of any Pan-African organizations like Women in Product equivalents that are championing female product managers across the continent?
I'm not aware of any right now. Maybe they are that I just don't know about. When I was starting Practical Product, someone asked me that, is this just for women? And I'm like, no, it's not just for women, but there is definitely going to be a focus on women. And so I wasn't surprised when I saw the data that showed that there were more male PMs than female PMs. I actually wasn't surprised, because that's the trend that you see in the wider tech space. Yeah, but there isn't any female-focused product community that I know of right now. And if there are any, please reach out to me. Willing to collaborate or brainstorm. But definitely in the next couple of things that we do at Practical Product, definitely will have a focus on women, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's really important in general. And again, it's something that's being played out around the world. So hopefully, if there are any such organizations listening, they can get in touch, as you say. But how is Feminist Coalition going in general? It sounds like that's not just product related, but is that having a positive impact in your work locally?
Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah, we're doing well. Everybody is working on several projects that we'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks or months. Yeah, we're good.
Excellent. I'll keep my eye out. And what are your hopes for product management over the next year, either in Nigeria specifically or across the continent?
So I guess my hope for product managers, on the continent in Nigeria. So most times people see product managers as a nice to have. And I get that depending on the stage of the company, the type of product, you don't have to bring in a PM like super, super early. I definitely understand that. It depends. But my hope is that the work that product managers do is more respected across the continent. It's my hope that product managers feel valued, because when you feel valued, you're able to do your best work. Yeah, I think those are like my big ones. And then obviously, like, I would like Africa to also be like, you know how we think about Silicon Valley and, you know, there's product management, blah, blah, blah. I would like some African country to be that, where it's like, oh, wow, you're looking for a great PM, definitely go to this country or definitely go to this continent.
So which country do you think is most likely to fulfill that role? I mean, obviously, Nigeria is a big one at the moment. There's a lot of stuff going on there. You've got South Africa as well. I'm aware there's a lot of stuff going on there. I mean, are there any countries that we should be watching and maybe any investors listening to this should be focusing on?
I think it's the usual suspects. So Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana. There's a lot of stuff happening in Egypt now. Yeah, but I think it's, for now anyway, it's the usual suspects that we usually hear about that have a great shot of being not a home, but just like being a center for great product and great product leadership and management and all things product. And ideally, like, I think also it'd be cool if, say, I'm based in, I don't know, Namibia, and I'm trying to build something. I would like for product managers on the continent to be able to work in different countries. So you want to hire a Nigerian PM, that's great, because that person maybe has experience in your area, or they're just like really great, or a South African PM is moving across the country. And you actually start to see that now. So like companies like Flutterwave and Paystack, they're hiring a lot of different African PMs, not just Nigerian PMs. Yeah, so I would like to see more of that.
Absolutely. Again, we'll keep our eyes open, and hopefully organizations like yours can help to move the needle as well.
Hopefully.
And where can people catch up with you after this if they want to have more of a chat about product management in Nigeria, across Africa, or find out more about the next version of your report?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Layo Ogunbanwo, just my first name and my last name, and then also on LinkedIn, Layo Ogunbanwo. You know, you can also, shoot me an email at hello@practicalproduct.co.
Excellent. I'll link that and the report into the show notes, and hopefully you'll start to get some contact from some interested people.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Well, that's been a fantastic chat, and obviously really interesting to hear about your experience and also some of the challenges and opportunities of product in Africa. Hopefully we can stay in touch, but as for now, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for listening. I hope you found it insightful. Make sure to grab a copy of Layo's The State of Product Management in Africa report from the link in the show notes. Have a read and share it and this episode with your friends so they can find out more too. Obviously, I'd also love it if you could visit the website onenightinproduct.com, sign up or subscribe, and check back soon for another inspiring guest on One Night in Product. Thanks very much.